Hey guys, welcome back. Do you know that billionaires such as Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett, they earn billions of dollars every year, but they only have to pay at a very low tax rate? These genius businessmen are so strategic and smart, right? Nobody want to lose a lot of money to the wage tax, and so do they. To the normal people, they have to pay such a high tax rate at 37% when they can earn more than $628.300 United States dollars. But to the earning of billions of dollars every year, according to calculations by ProPublica, for example, Buffett's real income tax rate is only 0.1% or $23.7 million for a total net worth of $24.3 billion over 5 years. Unlike most ordinary people, whose income comes mainly from salaries, billionaires often benefit from a tax avoidance strategy beyond the reach of the average person. In addition, billionaires' income mainly comes from the added value of the stocks and real estate they hold, so they are not taxed, unless sold and profited. That's just one tip that you can learn from this clever billionaire. And what's more, today, in the video, we're gonna talk about a billionaire who really inspires me a lot to become one of the most successful investors in the world like him. And his name is Warren Buffett. In the world of billionaires are people who share the same interest. Everybody knows him and how successful he is. Don't waste any second of life, let's begin. First and foremost, we should have a look at the story of childhood and family background of Warren Buffett. To begin, Warren Edward Buffett was born on August 30, 1930, in Omaha, Nebraska, United States of America. He was the second of 3 children born to Howard Buffett and his mother, Layla Buffett. The white American national with Scandinavian and American ancestors came from a wealthy family and was partly raised in his hometown of Omaha, Nebraska. Buffett grew up in Nebraska with his older sister, Doris Buffett, and his younger sister, Roberta, and was always interested in business. Buffett was just 6 years old when he bought 6 packs of Coca-Cola beverages to resale for a profit. Buffett made his first large investment at the age of 11 when he bought 3 shares in City Service for $38 each. Shortly after he made the transaction, the stock dropped. Buffett, fearful, hung on to his stock until it recovered to $40. Buffett was relieved by the bounce and sold his shares fast, a decision he would later regret when City Service rose above $200. As a result, Buffett learned the need for patience in making and maintaining investments, a lesson that he would use in future transactions. What about his education? Buffett attended Rose Hill Elementary School and received his schooling there. Buffett balanced studies with selling gum and drink while at school. When his father Howard was elected to the United States Congress, the entrepreneurial prodigy was still in school. As a result, Buffett and his family relocated to Washington, D.C., where he finished his elementary school study at Alice Deal Junior High School. Following that, he went to Woodrow Wilson High School, where he blended studies with coming up with innovative methods to make money. At the time, his most major investment was a $25 second-hand pinball machine he bought with a friend. The machine, which was put in a barbershop, generated earnings, allowing Buffett and his friend to purchase and install other devices in other places. Before graduating from high school in 1947, Buffett sold the company for $1,000. Buffett had no plans to attend college after graduating from high school in 1947. The then 16-year-old, who had already accumulated $5,000 from delivering newspapers, aspired to be a full-time entrepreneur. His father, on the other hand, encouraged him to go to college, starting at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton Business School. Buffett spent 2 years at the institution before transferring to the University of Nebraska, where he earned a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. Buffett's subsequent academic efforts were denied by Harvard Business School because he was too young. As a result, he enrolled at Columbia Business School, where he had the opportunity to attend seminars taught by his mentor, Benjamin Graham, the father of value investing. In 1951, he graduated from the school and went on to complete his education at New York Institute of Finance. Secondly, let's break down into the career of Warren Buffett. At early stages, Buffett, armed with adequate business and financial expertise, decided to put his personal investments on hold for the time being. Between 1951 until 1954, he worked as an investment salesperson for his father's firm, Buffett Falk & Company. Despite his youth, saw himself as a voice to be heard, delivering investing advice that was published on a regular basis. His next job was with Benjamin Graham's Collaboration, where he stayed until the partnership was dissolved in 1956 when Benjamin Graham retired. Buffett had already made a lot of money by the time the deal was closed, so he formed his own company, Buffett Partnership Limited. His road to fame. Buffett went on to run numerous additional businesses and became a millionaire in 1962 as a result of his various ventures. At the same time, he progressively increased his holdings in Berkshire Hathaway, a textile manufacturing company, until he became the company's largest shareholder and finally took full control. Berkshire Hathaway consolidated the business magnate's several partnerships into one. Berkshire Hathaway grew throughout time as he joined more partnerships, eventually transforming it into an American global conglomerate holding firm. Buffett was relatively unknown until 1986 when he made his first billion by leading Berkshire Hathaway to buy a 12% share in Salomon Inc., a scandal-plagued corporation. With Buffett serving as director and chairman of the new acquisition, Berkshire Hathaway became Salomon Inc.'s largest stakeholder. Buffett began buying Coca-Cola Company shares 2 years later and eventually possessed 7% of the company. One of Berkshire's most profitable investments is still being held today. Warren Buffett is largely acknowledged as one of the world's most successful investors. Even the greatest investors, as Buffett openly admits, make mistakes. Buffett's famous yearly letters to Berkshire Hathaway stockholders detail his worst investment blunders. Number 1. ConocoPhillips. Buying at the wrong price. Buffett took a substantial position in ConocoPhillips shares in 2008 as a bet on future energy prices. Many people believe that oil prices will rise in the long run and that ConocoPhillips will gain as a result. This, however, proved to be a poor investment since Buffett purchased the stock at an exorbitant price, resulting in a multi-billion-dollar loss for Berkshire Hathaway. The price at which you acquire stock is the difference between a terrific firm and a fantastic investment. Buffett was even more incorrect this time. Oil firm equities were soaring since crude oil prices were well over $100 a barrel at the time. The lesson learned. It's all too easy to get caught up in the thrill of large rallies and buy in at pricing you shouldn't, in retrospect. Controlling one's emotions allows investors to conduct a more objective appraisal. A more objective investor could have seen that crude oil prices have always been extremely volatile, and that oil corporations have historically been vulnerable to boom and bust cycles. Buffett once said, "When investing, pessimism is your friend, euphoria is the enemy." Next, Dexter Shoes. Investing in a company without a sustainable competitive advantage. Buffett purchased Dexter Shoes, a shoe firm, in 1993. Buffett's investment in Dexter Shoes backfired because he perceived a long-term competitive edge in the company that suddenly vanished. According to Buffett, what I had assessed as a durable competitive advantage vanished within a few years. Buffett states that this was the worst investment he has ever made, with a $3.5 billion loss to stockholders. The lesson from him: companies can only make a lot of money if they have a long-term competitive edge over their competitors in their industry. While pricing marts are unbelievably low, Honda produces high-quality automobiles. These firms can retain high profit margins as long as they can deliver on these items better than anybody else. If not, the huge earnings will attract a slew of competitors who will steadily eat away at the firm and suck up all of the revenues. Buffett says, "A truly great business must have an enduring moat that protects excellent returns on invested capital." Before moving on, I'm gonna show you, new generation or new entrepreneurs, helpful habits from this noble man. He can teach you a lot about how to develop a great career. In his early years, he worked as a newspaper delivery boy, among other things. He was turned down by Harvard Business School and went on to create his own business. Number 1. Cultivate your communication skills. Buffett used to be so afraid of public speaking that he would get sick before entering the stage. He says that, "You can't believe what I was like if I had to give a talk, I would throw up." He enrolled in a public speaking school at Dale Carnegie, the institute named after the famous speaker and author of How to Win Friends and Influence People, when he was 19 years old. Buffett most certainly gained many important things from the course, according to Joe Hart, president and CEO of Dale Carnegie. One is the significance of sharing personal tales in conversation or presentations, he claims. Prepare ahead of time so you can think of stories at a moment's notice. Make a list of relevant anecdotes that you could give if asked, such as travels you've made, books or movies that impacted your perspective, or life failures and lessons you've learned. According to Hart, another important lesson Buffett undoubtedly learned is to never read a speech or presentation verbatim. Create a basic outline containing the points you wish to make instead. In this manner, According to Hart, you'll recall what you plan to say while also seeming natural. Number 2. Buffett attributes many of his wise financial judgments to his extensive reading. He claims to begin each day by reading multiple newspapers and believes that he spends up to 80% of his time reading. Buffett once responded to a question about the secret of his success by pointing to a stack of books and saying, "Read 500 pages like this every day. That's how knowledge works. It builds up, like compound interest. All of you can do it, but I guarantee not many of you will do it." And last but not least, habit number 3, choose your friends wisely. Buffett, who has known Microsoft founder Bill Gates for a long time, believes that the appropriate set of friends may motivate you to reach higher professional goals. At an event at Columbia University along with Gates, he said to a group of people, "You will move in the direction of the people that you associate with." An excellent buddy motivates you to take on a challenge in your job, connects you to useful contacts, or suggests interesting books or resources. It's important to associate with people that are better than yourself, Buffett says. Now we are in the part 3, the lifestyle billionaire Warren Buffett. According to Forbes, his total net worth has recently reached about $110 billion, ranking 6th out of the richest people on the planet. Known as the Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett is one of the most successful investors of all time. Buffett runs Berkshire Hathaway, which owns more than 60 companies, including insurer Geico, battery maker Duracell and restaurant chain Dairy Queen. Even with that huge net worth, Buffett doesn't like to buy fancy cars or houses. But the billionaire still spends his money on his crazy lifestyle. Despite being one of the world's wealthiest people, Buffett is also notoriously frugal, eschewing mega mansions, yachts, and supercars. For instance, despite his billions of dollars, Buffett says he eats at McDonald's for breakfast every day and spends no more than $3.17 each time. And for years, he's used a 20-flip phone until finally upgrading to an iPhone 11 in February. He owns roughly 5.9% of Apple. According to BusinessInsider.com, Buffett has lived in the same home in Omaha, Nebraska since 1958. Business Insider also reports that he only purchased the house for $31,500 at that time. And looking at pictures of his house, it looks like a lovely spacious home anybody would be happy to own the property. Still, you would never guess that one of the richest men on the planet lives in it. Compared to the estates of fellow billionaires, this home is relatively small. This is a testament to the lifestyle of Buffett, proof that the man enjoys a simple life. Although he did have a beach house in California that he bought in the 70s, CNBC.com reports that Buffett purchased the mansion for $150,000. The article goes on to say that the mansion has 6 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms, but he sold it just a few years ago. A quote from Warren Buffett's bio in the Giving Pledge website sums it up perfectly. "I like having an expensive plane, but owning a half-dozen homes would be a burden." If his home of choice is any indication, we can expect modesty when it comes to his car as well. Once again, Business Insider has the scoop on what Buffett's preferred choice of wheels is. In an article, they explained that until 2014 Buffett drove a 2006 Cadillac DTS. Autotrader.com shows that the original price for the car was between $41,000 and $49,000. And when Buffett finally decided to upgrade his car, he opted to go with the Cadillac XTS, a car that once again is in the $40,000 range. We've seen that Buffett doesn't like to splurge on houses or cars, but he is a billionaire and has spent a ton of money, but on what? CNBC.com reports that in 1998, Berkshire Hathaway bought the company NetJets. Berkshire Hathaway is a holding company and Warren Buffett is its chairman. So, what's NetJets? It's an aircraft company that allows people or companies to own a part of a private jet if you don't travel much but want to fly in a private jet. When you do, you would buy a fraction of a jet. Reed reports that Warren decided to double down on this company by giving them enough money to buy more private jets. An incredible $18 billion. You gotta spend money to make money. The investment seems to have paid off since the company's still going strong. Today, Buffett is a successful businessman, so that wasn't the only time he spent money to make money. Besides, it is reported that Berkshire Hathaway bought 10 million Apple shares in 2016. One stock was worth $108. So, when the times that by 10 million, it becomes clear just how expensive it is. By the way, if you don't want to multiply, it's roughly $1,080 million. Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway would go on to buy more stocks of the tech giant. NextWeb.com explained that the company had more than $72 billion worth of Apple stock, and amazingly, that's only 5% of Apple. Also, Buffett is such a fan of Apple that he finally decided to trade in his flip phone for a new iPhone 11. CNN.com reported that he previously had a Samsung Shoe 320, a phone that came out 10 years ago. Probably, the most important way Buffett spends his money is on charity. Robert Frank for CNBC reported that since 2000, Buffett had donated more than $46 billion to charity. Jennifer Wong, writing for Forbes, made a list of the top 25 philanthropists in America making the biggest donation, and Buffett was at the top of the list. According to Wong, between the years of 2014 to 2018, Buffett had donated $14.7 billion. Buffett is also responsible for the creation of the Giving Pledge along with Bill and Melinda Gates. Billionaires who join the organization pledge to give away most of their money to charity in their lifetime or when they die. His bio on the Giving Pledge website states that he plans to give 99% of his wealth to philanthropy during his lifetime or when he dies. Another Forbes report shows us what charities Buffett is donating to. Buffett donated the foundation of his good friend Bill Gates, the Bill and Melinda Foundation. This foundation tries to help people all over the world, from developing vaccines to helping kids in America graduate high school. Another important organization he donates to is the Susan Thompson Buffett Foundation. It's named after his late wife. On their official website, it states the foundation has offered scholarships to college students in Nebraska for over 50 years, so it appears that Buffett is taking his pledge seriously. So, to answer the question on what Warren Buffett spends his billions, it seems he only spends money on things he truly believes. If he believes in an investment, he doesn't mind doubling down to play the long game. Besides that, his top priority is giving back to the community and to the world. And here comes the last part. Scandals and facts you might not know about Warren Buffett. Buffett's first brush with trouble was in 1974 when he purchased Wesco. In a nutshell, Buffett and his partner Charlie Munger began buying Wesco Financial stock through Blue Chip in 1972. In 1973, the two pushed hard to prevent Financial Corp. from acquiring Wesco and then spent the following 2 years gaining a controlling share in the company. Finally, the SEC looked into this purchase, and Buffett's investing methods in general, got a consent order from Blue Chip, and recovered a $115,000 settlement from Blue Chip to Wesco stockholders for losses the SEC claimed this maneuver caused. When Buffett bought the Buffalo Evening News in 1977, he was also accused of antitrust violations. Although Buffett and the Evening News eventually prevailed, and the antitrust proceedings appeared to be more of a desperate attempt by a competitor, the Buffalo Courier-Express, to use the courts to compete, it was a tense time, and accusations were leveled that Buffett had violated prior, gentlemen's agreements. In 1990, Warren Buffett was embroiled in one of the most severe controversies of his career. In 1987, Berkshire Hathaway bought a 12.5% stake in investment firm Salomon Brothers, and in 1990, it was revealed that a rogue trader had filed bids that were in violation of Treasury standards, and that the CEO at the time, John Gutfreund, had neglected to discipline the trader. When the U.S. government threatened to take action against Salomon, Buffett stepped in. He interfered personally with the Treasury Department to get a restriction on Salomon bidding in government bond auctions lifted as swiftly as possible, a move that would have destroyed the investment bank. He also took over as CEO of the bank for a while, and despite a $290 million fine, Berkshire Hathaway's investment in Salomon more than doubled when travelers purchased it in 1997. Recently, the claims against Berkshire Hathaway's subsidiary General Re in 2006 that it had collaborated with AIG in participating in so-called finite reinsurance were more severe. Finite reinsurance was more of an accounting trick that allowed a business like AIG to enhance the appearance of its financial reports for a period of time than it was actual insurance, with a matching transfer of risk. While the government investigated AIG and its chairman at the time, Hank Greenberg, fiercely, Berkshire Hathaway was not excluded. The corporation agreed to pay a $92 million settlement and make improvements to its corporate governance standards. Recent developments have provided fresh fodder for critics of Buffett. During the depths of the recession and economic crisis, Berkshire Hathaway made many opportunistic investments on conditions that were highly favorable to Berkshire. While these agreements represented the expenses of conducting business at the time, some have accused them of being exploitative. In some events with his family issues, Buffett once disowned his granddaughter. Buffett completely disowned his granddaughter Nicole after she featured in a documentary on America's wealth gap, The 1%, directed by his son Peter. Nicole made a comment on how Buffett might react to her participation in the film. "I definitely fear judgment. Money is the spoke in my grandfather's wheel of life." Nicole's concerns had been confirmed. Buffett wrote her a harsh letter after the documentary appearance, saying, "I have not emotionally or legally adopted you as a grandchild, nor have the rest of my family adopted you as a niece or a cousin." What was his justification for such a severe punishment? Buffett was deeply offended by her perceived sense of entitlement and self-appointed role as family spokesperson in the documentary. That's all about Warren Buffett. What else do you know about him? Please leave a comment below. Share this video with your friends. And subscribe to our channel to see more. Thank you very much. See you all in the next video.